So you may not have a ring on it.
Sing it
as
some more.
Beyonce would say. No.
Sing it some more.
No. But living together for years comes pretty close to marriage, or does it? Legally speaking, we've got attorney at law, Alexander Williams, here to tell us what common law is about, what it constitutes, what you're entitled to, when, if the relationship ever ends, because certainly that is a gray, nay, black area for many couples who end up in this situation. So good morning to you, sir.
Morning.
And
Good
welcome to Smile
morning.
Jamaica.
We're great.
Good to have you. So common law, pretty prevalent in Jamaica, yes? Do we have any stats that support or speak to this?
I'm not aware of the actual statistics, but I'm pretty certain, and let me go out on a limb, that most unions, stable familial unions, are probably common law as opposed to
You would
marriage.
say most.
Yeah, I would.
Wow.
Mark you, I don't have the statistics. so,
Right.
yeah.
I know there are some marriage stats out there as well, which
Yeah.
would then, but
And common law is what, is 5 years?
Well, yes, to a common law union, depending on the type of benefit that you're looking at, is, well, I should say there's a stable definition, which is 5 years.
so at
A
5
single
years
man,
you're legally in
that's
a common law
Single man,
relationship.
single woman, so a married man can't live with a woman and claim a common law union.
Right.
And vice versa.
So matey cannot be.
That's right. Matey, where the other side of the
Yes.
couple is a
Okay.
married man who could not create.
Have you seen
a common
people
law
actually
union.
try and make common law out of that?
No.
Okay.
I don't
I
have any
would be very unsmart.
case in which
Yeah.
anybody has attempted that, because the law itself is clear, depending on which one of the legislation you're
Let's
going
look then at the entitlements. The difference between the entitlements when you're married
Yeah.
and you separate to when you're in a common law relationship and you separate. What are the differences?
Well, the idea behind policy, which was translated into law, is to make sure that there isn't a difference.
Oh.
So, the benefits when somebody dies without a will are essentially the same, whether you are legally married or if you're in a common law union.
So why get married?
Once you make once you make the requirements on the law, so your estate gets divided in a similar fashion.
Why is there parity though? Why is there parity
Well,
with
that's
the two
policy.
situations?
That has been government policy across the administration for years, that the idea is not to disentitle persons who are in a common law union from the state benefits, other benefits according to law that would apply.
And man and woman,
That's right.
not other way around.
No.
There's no.
No, we haven't got that
No,
creative
no,
yet.
no.
Okay.
It's still man, single
Yeah.
man, by
Yes,
the way,
yes.
single woman.
Single man,
living
single woman.
As husband and wife for a minimum period of 5 years.
So
Okay.
the question is, why get married then?
Yeah, well, I suppose that's a...
I mean,
It's a
legally.
personal choice.
It's a personal
Right,
choice.
yeah, I
but the
mean-
benefits when you separate is 50% if you follow. What are some of the
Well, okay.
the rules?
Well,
in-
well, as I said, that's the basic requirement is that. And as I said to you, your estate gets divided depending on whether you have a will, or the person who died left a will or not. If it's a will, yes. Whether or not you are married, you go according to what's in the will. If there is no will, your estate gets distributed according to, I don't give it not the long name of the statute.
Go on, give us a long name. I like to learn.
The Interstates, Estates and Property Charges Act.
In the states and states and property.
Which
Charges
means-
Act, which has tables of distribution,
Okay.
depending on whether you have left a spouse, widely defined, whether
Right.
you have children or it's just children, whether it's your aunt, your uncle, etc., etc. And then the whole schedule as to how the estate gets distributed.
Okay.
And the parties are alive and they split up. Property Rights of Spouses Act might kick in to distribute the family home, and there's a body of case law defining what the family home is. But essentially it's 50-50 unless you can show certain factors under that particular law where you can vary the 50-50 rule.
And what are some of those factors? Because people who are
Marriage
going
of
in...
short duration, if your marriage was short, if one of the persons inherited the property prior to the
Really?
union,
Right.
i.e. marriage and/or common law union.
Right. So I had it
Or
before
it
I
had been
met you.
That's right. Or
Right.
if it was purchased by one or the other.
So if I had it before I met you, you can't come and claim.
Not can't.
Oh.
That's what we call the Section 7 considerations mean, is that these are things that the court can take into account and vary the ordinary 50-50 route. They may or may not do so, depending on the circumstance. Suppose the short duration of the marriage is caused by the man saying, I'm going to end it now because I don't want you claiming a 50-50 down the road.
So 4.5 years and him just nicks it.
Well,
because him don't want to get
remember,
to the
the minimum requirement is the 5 years.
Right.
But what I'm saying, after the 5 years, you're living
together. But
quote
what if
unquote,
4
as
years
man and wife.
in a bid to not make it to the 5 years, he decides he's going to end it
Well,
because he doesn't want you
And
to
then
do
he
the
starts
5
again
years.
6 months later.
No.
What if that happens? Like you start, you see what I mean?
Please
End it,
remember,
start again?
The public needs to understand.
Please.
You must go over the
5
threshold
years.
period of
5
years.
years.
But what I'm saying is, suppose you're in a home, right? And you're there for, as a common law spouse, say, for instance, a year or 2 years afterwards, right? They may say, oh, it is of short duration over the span of time, having one or other persons acquired the family home. The court may or may not take into account the shortness of the marriage, the union, so to speak, under the Section 7 consideration. They may say, yes, it's short, but it was cut short by the other party so as to defeat any entitlement that might otherwise accrue,
Strategy.
having done the 5
Strategy.
years.
Is it gender, sorry.
Go ahead, go
Is
ahead.
it gender balance? I mean,
Yes,
the
yes.
entitlements?
That's right.
Is it gender equal?
Gender equality.
Like, do women get more or?
No, equality. Equality, as they say, is equity.
Okay, it's
So
checking.
the policy now is either side, either the man or the woman can make the claim on the Property Rights of Spouses Act. And of course, either the man or the woman, meaning the spouse, estate will be distributed according to the Interstate Estates and Property Charges
I
Act.
find it interesting that when people are getting married, they go in with eyes wide open. They talk to lawyers, they talk to counsel, they talk to
Not
perhaps-
very romantic.
perhaps most common law unions would kind of happen by happenstance. We start to live together and just
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
Not many
Exactly.
people say, well, we don't want to get married, but we're going to live together. Or maybe some people do. But I
Yeah.
think most people just kind of fall into it and it just happens.
That's
over a
exactly
period of
why,
time.
and that's exactly why we have these bits of legislation.
But do they take the time to make themselves privy to the bits of legislation?
I'm pretty certain
Not until
99% of
not
persons
until things
don't.
pop down and
Can
they
you
need
sign
to.
a
Which is-
not a
which is
prenup,
not
you know
a-
how some couples say, can
Yeah.
you do that in a common law? Like you move in together and you decide that, okay, we're living together. We're not talking marriage yet, but you sign some kind of agreement like a prenuptial agreement that says in case, can you do that in a common law relationship?
Well, there is provision under the Property Rights of Spouses Act for parties to enter into that kind of arrangement. The general position, policy position, and let me just say common law, is that these things are frowned upon. But as a matter of fact, even under the matrimonial, I shouldn't say the matrimonial causes, but in the situation of marriage, there are instances in which it has been contemplated and allowed.
We have to go. Bottom line is that you're with somebody for over 5 years, it's like you're married to them. So if you're in that situation or you're running into problems, you might want to consult a lawyer, like Sir Williams here.
I'm
attorney at
sure
law.
some people are watching now and it's like, yo,
Yeah.
tomorrow is 50 year, come out of this.
I don't want to hasten the demise of any
No,
marriage.
no, we're
But just for
messing with you.
information's sake.
Yes, yes.
Attorney at law, Alexander Williams. News in 5 is next. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.